So today's video is going to be all about basically how to unfuck yourself, right? How to unscrew yourself. We all get in these positions in life where we know we're kind of treading water, we're not getting where we want to be, we are making the same mistakes over and over, right? Every repeat lesson we continue to make in life is an opportunity we've missed to move forward or fail to see the lesson that we need. These are what I consider to be a few steps to kind of begin that process and help you have a fully well-rounded view of what you need to do to kind of make strides toward the things you're after in life. Firstly, you need to start living the life that you envision for yourself, not the life that your mom or your dad or your wife or your husband or your cousin or whoever or your friends think that you should be living. Your life is really about you. So aside from caring for the people in your life that you love and cherishing the time that you have with them, what are you doing that fulfills your purpose here? And the steps to kind of begin that process, it takes a lot of untangling. We have to kind of untangle some of the messes we've created in our lives. Maybe that mess is that you keep choosing the same terrible partner over and over and over. Different person, same problems. These are all just repeat lessons that a lot of us make several times before we're ready to understand the lessons that we need to take from it and then apply that to our next relationship, right? In choosing better in our next relationship. Or maybe it's, you've been at the same job forever and it's time for you to change gears. It's either time for you to start your own business or take on a new role or a completely different role. And maybe it's just life stuff. Maybe you've just got to in general build healthier relationships with your friends and your family. You've got to build a healthier relationship with yourself first and foremost. Health and wellness, wellness all around, mentally, physically, spiritually. All of these things are so important because you can't be in a place where you're making good decisions for yourself and you're able to take action efficiently and make strides towards your goals if you're not in a good place to start. So really the first step to any of that, to the untangling, to the getting from A to B, is really just healing yourself. Healing some of the ways of thinking that you've been accustomed to and healing some of the bad patterns that you find yourself repeating. The healing can come in many different ways, right? It can be going to therapy. It can be taking more time for yourself and attributing time to the things that you deem important that you're trying to work on. It can be developing healthier attachments to the people and the things and substances in your life, whatever it is. Getting to a solid foundation, a good, what I like to call just homeostasis, right? It's where you're good where you're at and you're in a calm, collected place mentally where you can take on challenges, where you can handle setbacks, you can handle the stress of everyday living and caring for your loved ones or whatever you've got going on, in addition to trying to build and trying to do more for yourself. All of those things are possible, but you do have to get to a place where you're healthy, right? You're healthy to make good decisions. It's much more efficient than just trying to do everything and not taking care of yourself. That's like running a car and never changing the oil, right? You're just, if it might run for quite a while, but eventually that thing is just going to blow up. So, don't treat yourself like that. And when we begin to envision the life that we're kind of trying to build for ourselves, it's so easy to get caught in the dream state of the law of attraction, where you're thinking of all the things that you want or that you're after, and you're envisioning it. You're making a vision board. You're going on social media and kind of window shopping for that life you envision for yourself. That's great. It's great to use your mind to visualize things, but without taking action towards that life in some manner, or whatever that goal of yours is, without taking some action, you aren't really letting the universe know that you're ready for that change. You're not letting yourself know that you're ready for that change. When you observe others talk about wanting to do this and wanting to do that and never really getting off the couch and doing anything, don't become that person. Don't get stuck in that place either. So, yes, visualization and meditation or whatever method you use to visualize kind of what you're after and get a very tactile feeling for it, even though that's not your current reality right now, getting stuck in that dream phase doesn't really help you move forward nearly as fast. So don't wait too long to get out of that dream state and start taking action towards the things that you're after. And when it comes to taking action and making things happen, as you begin to take those steps, it's important to remember that there are going to be setbacks. There are going to be days where things aren't working out. And you've got to be comfortable with setbacks and things not always working out. It's important to really try to show up even on those days where things aren't going right. And look, maybe you're not going to get that task that you would hope to get done today. I think there's a quote out there that some days are so fucked that they cannot be unfucked, and it's just better to go home. And that is true, but it doesn't mean that you can't maybe finish one smaller task that was related that you can manage. Setbacks are going to happen, and even the most skilled and successful people who have created great inventions in our history, all of those people hit setbacks and days where not a single thing that they were doing was working right. So, it's about persistence and learning to view those setbacks not as a terrible tragedy, but as a way to understand perhaps a different path to what you're trying to do, or to understand something that you just need to avoid doing in the future. A perfect example of a setback, just here now. I recorded this video the day before I'm actually recording it. I had a full 20-minute video ready to go for you guys. And then I went to go play it back and do my rough edits, and there was a transcript, but no video or audio. I still can't understand how this is possible, but it happened. Sometimes that's life. So yeah, I was mad about it. I let out some goddammits and what the F, and, let it roll off my shoulders after a few minutes and said, okay, it's late, but I'm doing this video again tomorrow. So here I am, and I'm doing it because, if I keep putting it off, it's just not going to get done, right? So you can't let setbacks keep you out of the driver's seat. And this taught me a lesson in video editing that, check and make sure connections are working and things are recording correctly the first time. And maybe don't record the whole video in one segment. Take a little break and stop it just to check and make sure that it is recorded properly. That way you don't end up doing an entire video twice like I am now. So, word to the wise, don't make my mistake. In addition to setbacks, it's important to just stay positive and open to all of the opportunities that life can throw at you. Sometimes you're along your way to one goal, and this weird opportunity comes along kind of out of the blue that doesn't really make a lot of sense to you, but it does seem appealing. There are tons of ways that you can get to the point that you're trying to get to. And sometimes there's something that comes along that is also a great opportunity, and maybe that's the one that's really meant for you. So there's nothing wrong with exploring something that comes along that wasn't really in your initial plan of things to be doing with your life or working towards your goals. But if it appeals to you at all, I say explore that option. And what's the worst thing that could happen? You spend a few months into it and you're like, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. I don't really know if this is leading me anywhere. I'm going back to the original plan. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let those opportunities just pass by without exploring them to some degree. And I actually have a personal example of this kind of thing happening to me. So there was a time when I left another job in the legal field, and I wanted to start my mediation business, which is the business I was in before I was coaching. I knew I wanted to do that business, but I didn't really know how I was going to make the time and make money to begin that business, on its own, on the side. For a while, because of my background, I thought maybe going into HR would be great for me. I had a great employment law background, and I love employment law and helping small businesses especially keep themselves out of hot water and keep their employees happy and really just keep things in the workplace going harmoniously. And I was looking for jobs in that space and thinking, okay, I'll just get a full-time job doing this, or maybe a work from home type of situation and work on my mediation business on the side. What I was finding was that for some reason, things just weren't lining up, right? And I was like, why isn't this working? And, is this what I'm supposed to be doing right now? I was actually quite frustrated. I was sitting on a friend's couch and I was like, what should I do? Because, I really want to do this, but I'm not really finding a clear path right now. And it's one of those moments where somebody says this one thing to you that just sparks an idea, and that idea turns into a thing, right? So that person gave me an idea for something I could do to support myself and build another business on the side. And that business actually became its own whole thing. It was the exact thing I needed to hear at that moment. And it was a little outside the box from what I was originally thinking. But it did afford me the flexibility and the time that I needed to, A, make money for myself, but B, also build this other business that I was trying to build at the time. It gave me the time and the flexibility to go network, to go have meetings, to schedule in mediations in the middle of my week when I was doing other things too to make money. So, all of these things that come up that seem a little weird sometimes, that are an opportunity, but they don't really seem exactly in line with what we were thinking, it's rarely to your detriment to just give it a thought and explore it a little. And my last point, and definitely the most important one, I think, is that all of the work that you put into yourself, into feeling better and having a better dialogue with yourself, in having a better mindset for the way that you interact with what's happening with you in your life, and all of the healing that you do and all of the steps that you take to get to where you're going, all of that is much more difficult if you don't also take some accountability for the types of energy and thoughts and sentiments that you're kind of keeping around you in your life. And by that I mean your surroundings with other people mostly. Are you watching really negative, scary stuff on television all the time? Are you around people always that don't really support your efforts to make a better life for yourself? And look, it doesn't mean that you need to cut everybody out of your life. Not everybody in our lives are taking the same steps that we are to kind of put the work into ourselves. And that doesn't mean that they just shouldn't be in your life. That's not always feasible, and that's not always really the appropriate thing to do depending on the situation, right? But what is important is trying to build some more relationships, if you kind of lack relationships like this, that are with people who are like where you want to be in 5 years. People who have done a lot of work on themselves, on their relationships, on their career, they're living well, mentally, physically, spiritually. You want to be around more of those people because that helps inspire you to kind of maybe not take the same actions, but to take better actions according to what's appropriate for you. And, it's really inspiring to be around people who are kind of where you'd like to be, and be in a room with people who are bouncing around those kinds of ideas, because those are the ones that are really helpful. So, it doesn't mean you have to cut a bunch of people out of your life, like I said, but just be mindful of the kinds of negativity and less than helpful advice you open yourself up to. Just set some boundaries, even if it's with yourself, to kind of limit conversations with people that are giving you kind of less than helpful advice, or kind of have less than kind or thoughtful things to say when it comes to what you're doing with your life. Just know that not everybody in your life is going to be taking the same action that you are in trying to improve, and that's okay. Everybody's on their own journey, but it is just something important that you have to keep in mind when you're doing work on yourself, that it's not always going to be the same for everybody else, and that you've got to make sure that you have good positive influences in your life as well. So I hope this video is helpful to you and gives you some idea of beginning the process of unraveling, right? Of unraveling all that mess that we create for ourselves, whether it's with our relationships, whether it's with our job decisions, whether it's with just the way we kind of feel about ourselves, right? When we feel terrible about ourselves and everything that we're doing all the time, it's not going to help us make good decisions. So doing all that work on yourself and being mindful of the types of energy and all that you keep around you, it's important. It's all important. So I hope this gives you a well-rounded idea of how to kind of begin making strides towards the things that you're going for, and at least begins you on your healing journey to get to a better place where you can make better decisions for yourself from the get. So get out there, unscrew yourself, and keep at it. Just keep at it.